When I talk to women about becoming managers, I'm hearing a theme that's coming up repeatedly, which is I'm really interested in it, but I'm afraid that I'm going to ruin my career, I'm going to blow myself up, I'm going to get fired, like that. So I want to talk about an experience where I was managing a group and it ended disastrously. And I want to do that because I want to show how if I had been using my 5-step system for becoming an effective manager, or transitioning to manager, but it can also be used ongoingly as a manager, I would have prevented a lot of the situations that resulted in this project going awry, if I had only had it then. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to see how using my 5-step system will prevent the kind of disasters that we all are concerned about and want to avoid that may be in the way of us stepping forward of taking managerial roles. For the best strategies to take your career to the next level, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you can be advised when I post new content weekly. I'm Christina dellisanti-Miller, a full potential realized, and I'm a career coach. I spent more than 20 years in big corporates, leading talent and diversity and inclusion functions, and I use my behind-the-scenes insights to support women to take their careers to places beyond what they even thought was possible. I shared this 5-step system in a previous video, and I'll put a link to it in the description so you can see the explanation. So the 5 elements of the system are principles, a blueprint for the role, a team, a process, and a deep dive around certain skills where you have development opportunities. Used together, that framework is like a safety net that will be protecting you under all of the crazy circumstances that you could be facing and probably will be facing as a manager. Before I jump into my case study, I'm curious, have you ever been in a situation where you were a manager, where you had a participant on your team that was not working in the way that you needed them to, that really became a problematic situation? And if so, how did you handle it? Please share in the comments so we can all benefit from our experience. So the context for this case study, I was leading a team that was a 2-phase project. It had many players, it was a high pressure situation, and it was in the middle of a business change as the context, and the project was about pulling together a process and a system that we were going to execute to select managers during a change in the organization on a big scale. So the first phase went well, and we were re-upped to do another phase of the project, which is the part that didn't go well. The first phase, we got accolades. In the first phase, we were the hero. In the second phase, no, we were the GOAT. And so what happened? What happened is the project manager on the team was not managing the project and didn't have a project plan. And I don't know if he didn't know how to manage a project or he was just refusing to do it, but every time we showed up to team meetings and everybody was talking about their progress and we went to look at his project plan, he didn't have it. So many things that I could have done differently or better. I was talking to him about it in the group and saying, can you bring it? Or, I should have been talking to him offline, because that's a violation of the first principle, which is principles, right? The first part of my system is principles, and I'm using the old Zenger-Miller, which is now Achieve Global, as my set of principles, and one of those is maintain the self-esteem of your teammates. In the heat of it all, I was like, okay, we need to get this done. Where's the project plan? It was not my intention to embarrass him. If I were to do it differently and really being careful to maintain his self-esteem, I would have pulled him offline right away and said, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? How can I support you? What do you need? What's in the way? Instead of having him to come back to the team repeatedly without having done it. Was it his responsibility to get it done? Yes. But my responsibility as a leader to maintain the self-esteem of others was to not have a situation where he would be embarrassed repeatedly in the group. Second way, this system would have prevented these issues and concerns had I been adhering to it back then, had I had it all figured out back then, was the blueprint. Piece number 2. The role blueprint would be to manage the team and to make sure that the work was getting done and I would have worked out the division between subject matter expert and the team. Because what was happening is when he wasn't doing that project plan, I was making a shadow project plan behind the scenes because I needed to understand where everything was. And that wasn't my role. And I wouldn't have taken up that role if I was focused on my role and the blueprint of a leader and how I was supposed to be spending my time. I would have taken a step back and addressed the underlying issue, not spent my time creating my own project plan to be able to manage the outcome of the project. Third way my system would have prevented this debacle is the team. And what I would have done from the beginning is establish a team of advisors for me for this project, which would have been this person's manager and the managers of the other people on my team, plus the client. And I would have been having regular updates with these team members so that when I got into a problem, I wouldn't be now all of a sudden bringing it up. Because one of the things was I didn't want to throw this person under the bus, and I was protecting him in a way, which again, not the role. Yeah, so if I was working on updates with those managers all along and telling them how their people were doing, what challenges they were facing, and working in partnership to help those people succeed, I wouldn't have been in a bind when all of a sudden he was showing up week after week without the plan and now all of a sudden not wanting to start a conversation about how is he doing. Fourth piece of my system that would have prevented this from happening is the process piece. And if I had a process about I'm going to clarify what the role expectations are, I'm going to clarify what the goals of each individual are, how they're contributing, and delegate in a way that's super clean, super clear, and follow up and monitor, inspire performance, deal with issues in the moment. If I had a process that I was following, I wouldn't have been showing up every week at this meeting like, shit, it's not working. I would have been following my process, and that would have dealt with the issue. Whenever I have a framework, things go smoothly. Whenever I'm flying by the seat of my pants, not inside a framework, it never works as well. Frameworks for me are the safety net, the scaffolding that makes for excellent execution. Fifth part of this process that would have prevented the decline of this project is the looking at my own skill set. And one area where I could have done a drill down and really improve my capability and raise my game was around supporting teammates to perform when they weren't performing. So that might have been about motivating performance. It might have been about coaching, right? There was something I could have done differently had I engaged him appropriately, especially offline and early on, that may have helped to enable his performance, and I didn't do that. So maybe there's a skill opportunity there that I could brush up on. So those are 5 ways my system could have prevented that project from its steep decline. The reason I share all this is not to flagellate myself, but to say, you don't have to be afraid. When you have a system, again, you have the scaffolding that's going to be your safety net and that's going to keep you safe and secure. And you can't control everything, and there are going to be situations where politics and other unforeseen or uncontrollable circumstances happen, but having a system like this will help you to at least feel safe that for the most part, you can lead a team and you'll be able to deal with whatever performance situations come up. If you'd like to learn more about my 5-step system for managing effectively, you can grab my cheat sheet at fullpotentialrealized.com/lead. For additional tips on taking your career to the next level, check out these additional videos. I'll give you a playlist up here. Please like this video, give it a comment, share it with your friends, share it on social media if you're feeling generous, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. I look forward to seeing you next time.